I'm going to show you how to make, this is kind of one of my UFOs. Ooh.
Get in real close, Robert, because those are so little. I don't know if you can see them. I don't know how they work with them.
They're
But
cool.
Joan's going to show you how it's real easy.
These are super easy to make. So I brought this in and everybody said, what kind of craziness is that?
Maybe not quite.
Maybe not quite.
Exactly that. Maybe even worse.
But because they're so small, but these are so easy to make. So I wanted to show you how to make them. Not going to show you quite as small as these. These were pre-cut squares. They were 3.5 inches, I think.
That's what you said, yeah.
I think they were. You lose a little bit in the process, but I found some charm squares. And so I made this one. And then I trimmed it up using the Quilter Select 3.5 inch ruler. So, if you use this one to cut your blocks out, you can wind up with these little 1.5 inchers.
Okay, good tip.
There you go. You get double duty out of it. So to start, I've got my two, I like a light and a dark next to each other. You can see by the quilt. So all I do, and I've showed some people this before. We actually did a demo on this
Early on
in the store. Made a different block though. That one's worth looking up, and I'm dragging that one out too to work on it some more. So all I'm going to do is, and so we don't have to come back over here, I'm actually going to turn it and draw another line and do the same thing on the other side.
And you're doing it from point to point?
Point to point. And this is going to be a guide for our sewing line. Isn't this fascinating, watching me draw lines?
It is. It's like watching the snail crawl.
You've done that, haven't you?
They're slimy. And they leave a trail.
Okay, and I'm just using a regular graphite pencil. You won't see them anyway. This actually turns into your cut line. So once we piece these, you're going to actually trim these on here.
I don't know if anybody was like me, but when I was first starting, I cut a bunch of blocks out thinking, I'll just cut that material up into blocks and I'll have it for future quilts. I didn't realize, you could have all different size blocks, but I went back and started looking at the blocks that were similar size, and I started doing things with them like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of fun to see what all you've got in your, this looks like what she would have done if she hadn't bought the little packages of them. But go back into your stash. I bet you can find all different sizes of square blocks.
I know you have hordes of charm packs out there.
Those would be perfect.
Those are perfect for this. Look at you hide. So I'm going to grab this ruler, because I got to trim this, and I don't want to get back up. And then we need this handy tool.
The Doogie tool, that's right.
Multi-function finger presser tool.
Who came up with that name in the conference boardroom for that tool?
I don't know, but I think they were having wine slushies.
Yeah, I think they could have been having wine slushies that day.
I have this set up for the straight stitch on this machine, and all I'm going to do is sew down each side of this. So I'm lining up my foot with the edge, and the 1/4 inch ruler doesn't really matter with this. And then I'm just going to sew a straight line, if I can find the pedal. Not even going to trim, just going to turn around and go the other way on the other side of that same line.
You got your speed turned down?
I do. And trim.
I thought the race car was broken there for a minute.
Well, this one doesn't sew quite as fast. So I'm going to come right over here. I'm going to lay my ruler with the side that doesn't move right on that line and cut. And so I'm going to use this tool and press the seam over because I don't want to walk back to the iron. Same thing with this side. Always press towards the dark, unless you're pressing open. It always surprises me how well this tool works every time I use it. And then my line kind of looks like it's drunk on that side, and this side looks a little bit better. So I'm going to sew in this direction.
That's what happened when they invented the tool there. They were, I can't believe it works so good.
And we're going to do the same thing again. And I'm just kind of aiming towards that line. It doesn't have to be. As long as you have a straight line, you'll be fine. And then again, lay your ruler down, cut. Okay, really cut this time. And there you have the start of that block. Okay, and then you actually get two out of this. So I'm going to press this one, and then we'll go back over and trim them up. And if you haven't used the Quilter Select rulers, I think these are $2.99, maybe.
Thingamabobbers?
$7.99.
Yeah, 7, 9, something like that.
We're gonna check for you.
110, 220, 221, whatever it takes.
Isn't that electricity?
Oh, let's have an auction.
Let's have an auction.
Or a guess. $7.99.
$7.99. These are amazing. So, multiple uses. Be a stylist if you're turning and you want to push your points out. Got a little pointy thing. Push your fabric up under your needle and not stab yourself with the needle or sew through your finger. Manicure. I've done that. I've actually had the needle come down through my fingernail. And I was like...
Sounds horrifying.
Oh,
Well, no, it didn't go into my finger. It just went through my fingernail.
Oh.
So it was like, whoo, that was close. So let's go trim these up. And so if you haven't used these Quilter Select rulers, this is the 3.5 inch size. So the nice thing about these rulers, because we're used to rulers that just do this all over our fabric, these will actually grip. It really is handy when you start squaring up blocks. You can just cut, rotate, rotate, and rotate. There we go. And there you go. And you can just line these up just like that. Once you trim them up, and then save that for your dog beds. Super easy block to make, and you can make something really fun and cute with it. This is very traditional colors. Every time I think I'm done with traditional or reproduction fabrics that come out with something new that makes me go, oh, I could make something with that. Yes, I was counting as I was cutting.
counting your fingers?
Well,
Yeah, we shouldn't talk about that anymore.
Yeah, we
'cause
should
somebody
not.
hit their finger and said it's a little numb.
Oh.
yeah. I've done that. People were here at the cutting table talking about it. So we're not going to talk while I'm cutting.
Yeah, she cut the end of her finger off one time, so
I did.
that was not a happy day.
Plus it messed up all the material, didn't it?
No, I did not bleed on the fabric.
She did not bleed on the fabric, you're right.
Good girl.
It's kind of a funny story because I had another little incident.
So somebody was asking what the brand of the ruler that you're using is?
These are Quilters Select. They're from Alex Anderson. This one is $15.99. It's great size for fat quarters. You can see there's just a little bit lost to square it up.
And they do not slip.
Yeah,
They
Marilyn
don't.
loves them.
So yeah, we use them in the store to cut fabric all the time. This one is the 6x24.
I use that more than anything.
What size did you square the blocks when starting with the 3.5 inch?
They don't make one that size. So I think I just used a little square one like this and I had to line it up. So these are 1.5 inch finished. Most of them are 1.5 inch finished.
Hey, that's how we quilt.
That is how we
The
quilt.
way we
So
roll.
this is kind of, and you can see it in the border. So the border is actual size. And so when I quilt this, even though it looks like it has some fullness in it, the border is truly the size of the quilt. So these are 1.5, so I would have cut them to 2-inch squares. And so I just used a ruler about this size and trimmed them down. So sizes, this is an absolute must-have. The 3x18, this is a great size ruler. This one is $28.99. So the sizes that they have are 3x12, so this one in a 12-inch, 3x18, which is this one, 5x5, 6x6, 6.5x6.5, 6x12, which is another very common one, 6x24, 8x8, 8.5 by 8.5, which is another really good size to have, 8.5 by 24, 10 by 10, 12 by 12, 12.5 by 12.5, and 18 by 18.
And what's the new ones? Didn't they have some bigger
There
square
are
ones that
some
came
new
out?
ones that are not on there. They have a 6.5 by 24. They have a 2, is it 2 or 2.5? 2.5 by 2.5.
That's what we have two of up there.
We have 2 of those. So they have the 3.5 by 3.5 and 4.5 by 4.5.
So I just turned it over and you have the seams all going in the same direction on those. Did you mention that over there? So that
No.
when you put your quilt together, that little center thing, you don't have to use your hammer on it like I do.
They make a quilt hammer?
No,
Oh, okay.
she improvises.
Did you
A
borrow
lightweight
one?
hammer, huh?
Did you borrow one out of the garage?
Yeah, I keep it in my sewing room. Now it's mine. So I just tap it a few times with my hammer, and it works pretty good. But it works better if you do it the right way. That's what I'm showing.
That is a really good point.
Yeah.
Your seams are already nested for you. I like this method because this is the point when you make triangles like this. This is where all of you do it. I've seen you do it. I do it too. You go right at the point to see how good of a sewer.
Right.
Are her points matching up?
You
I
notice
know.
I don't have many show and tells, right?
But they match up every single time.